Did you know that before World War II, the common sponges that you found here in the United States happened to all be imported from Japan, and they were natural sponges that had been grown loofahs. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with those or not, but since that time, for many, many years, we kind of got used to the synthetic version, the version that is not natural. You've seen those a million times, right? Total plastic. Do you want to be using that in your home and on your body? I want to talk to you today another covert gardening strategy of how to grow your own loofahs. These are fantastic sponges that have so many different uses. I can't wait to tell you about them. So let's get to it. We just got back from the store. In fact, I visited 3 different stores and all of them carried loofah sponges in them. Of course, right next to those sponges, we saw a lot of artificial ones. The poofs that you see in the bathroom. There were all kinds of versions of synthetic sponges and back scratchers and all kinds of things like that. And I just want to show you one example that we got at the store. This one looks very natural, doesn't it? If you were to guess and see that, you would think that was a natural sponge. This one, incidentally, is called a foam bath sponge. And just like so many of them, if you turn the tag over and read the fine print on the back, you'll be amazed that it says something to this variety. It says, do not use on irritated or damaged or broken skin. And if irritation develops by using it, then discontinue use. Okay, that's not the sponge you want to use on your body, or even for cleaning for that matter. I want to encourage you to read the labels closely because I did come home, not with one of the back scratcher sponges, back scratcher loofahs that we found, but actually just a smashed, this is a very thin smashed version of a loofah gourd that you can grow that you see here next to me. Now, I want to talk to you just a little bit about this because this is part of our covert gardening series. And the reason I say that is because this is a perfect crop that so few people are growing and it's misunderstood. It is misinterpreted and it's totally underutilized. In fact, if you're thinking of ways to make a little money on the side, I would encourage you to consider growing your own loofah sponges. These are all grown on vines just like this. Incidentally, this was my first year growing them for myself, and I put the most wonderful all-natural hemp jute type twine up and made a wonderful grid work for them to grow on, and they're just way too heavy for that. When these are brand new, they're so full of water that they just weight it down. And I should have used cattle panels like I made that wonderful trellis over in my hay bale garden. It was fantastic at holding up the weight. And a lot of people actually grow these on a type of trellis like that so that they can hang down and be easily accessible. When they're grown, they're almost like little chandeliers hanging down in that trellis. Now, this one is at the end of its lifespan. It's very old and it's ready to be picked and peeled, and we'll do that here in just a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to tell you what you're doing is you're growing these best in a very warm environment. So I would say any of you that have a long growing season, you kind of need that to grow loofahs well. You want heat and you want water. So incidentally, I have had all kinds of things happen this summer where I couldn't be here to take care of these. And when they didn't have water, they would droop and then come back to life when the next rain came around. But they needed lots of it. And incidentally, we have had a very long growing season, longer than we should have this year. So they've had plenty of time to grow extra large. They're going to be heavy when they're young, and they are completely edible when they're young. So if you can get them when they're just, less than 12 inches long, maybe 8 inches, and they're nice and thin and skinny, those are perfect for eating, just like you would eat any squash. But as soon as they get bigger than that, you're gonna notice they get really pithy. That's why we love them for that wonderful sponge that they make ultimately in the end. You're gonna let them grow though, all the way through. Don't pick them off the vine, just let them grow a whole 6 months if you can. right before that first frost might be when they're ready to pick, but you want them to kind of get this discolored where they're starting to turn yellow, or you can let them get all the way yellow and almost brown. They'll get hollow inside. You'll notice they're much lighter, and the older they get, the more they almost rattle like a baby rattle because of all the seeds inside. This one's not quite there yet, but I can tell it's very hollow sounding and it's getting there quickly. Let me start back at what these look like at the beginning of their life, because when they get started, you're going to notice in the mornings, you'll have this beautiful vine that's starting to grow, and it grows very, very fast. In fact, a couple of feet every day. So it will cover whatever trellis or strata that you've got ready to have it grow. It can go one plant up to 30 feet. So prepare for that and give it room along a fence or a hedge or whatever you have built for it, but make it sturdy. Each morning it's going to be filled with flowers, and each stem will have little flowers. It's almost like the daylily. If you've watched our video on that, how one bloom per morning comes out. I love coming out early in the morning to check my vines, and I'll notice one fresh bloom. It has all these little baby miniature blooms, almost or buds, almost like a fractal. It's so beautiful. But then there will be the one most recent that will bloom tomorrow morning, ready to go with bright 5 leaves of bright, glorious yellow color. And the bees love this plant. They will help you pollinate. You will not have to worry about doing any self-pollination because the bees will go wild for this. It is wonderful for them. And I think it must have some sweetness in there because the ants seem to love it too. So there you'll come out in the morning, you'll see glorious yellow blooms, but very quickly as the sun heats them up, they'll shrivel, shrivel, shrivel up and die, or at least look like they're dead. But those are what will make the next gourd. Now, each bloom, by the way, doesn't create a gourd because they're a little bit finicky. That's why it has lots of blooms, but the sturdiest of them will make an actual gourd like this. It will be dark green in color at first, and it will grow quickly and skinny at first, but the more water and sunlight it's given, it'll get fatter and fatter. You want the fat ones, they're good. And it's interesting to me because even though they're cylindrical and circular, you'll notice that they kind of have a general triangular shape to them. It's almost like they're in 3 parts. As I run my hand around it, I can feel it easily that it's kind of a triangular shape to their body. It's very interesting. But as they grow old, you want to wait until they're turning yellow already or all the way brown and dried up before you pick them. Don't be tempted too early. Then you're going to pick it just like this, and you can easily take that skin off underwater. Some people like to start right at one of the tips of it, and you'll notice there's kind of a hollowness to that. And then once you break the tip, and I'll do that right now, you're going to just break the tip off. This is where the bud, the flower was, and you're going to start skinning it. Look at what happens. Inside, I have this beautiful, pithy pulp that's just waiting to be cleaned and dried. Do you see that? Isn't that amazing? Now this is already hollowing inside, and you can see the dark black of those seeds that are just waiting to come out. But it's very easy to rip all that skin off. This isn't a very fat one, but it's going to make some great sponges. Look at that. I've got it fully peeled now, and it's a little wet and slimy, but completely hollow and only filled clear up with black seeds that are perfect for next year's crop. In fact, all I have to do, even with it wet, is to turn it over in my hand and start, you can even hear them, but it's clear full of those, and they'll start dumping into my hand easily. See those black seeds coming out? Of course, they're not going to cooperate because we're on camera, but you get the idea. It's clear full of these black seeds, and as I wash it and dry it, those are going to come out, and I'll be able to plant those for a huge crop next year. Now, if you want to get creative, remember that if you were to plant these and sell these at your local farmer's market, often they sell for between $1 and $5 each. So if each one is filled with that many seeds, we're talking maybe a couple of hundred seeds in there, I can grow a whole field of these for next year if I wanted to. But remember this, This is excellent for food when it's young. And then when it's this stage and you dry it out, so I wash it, I dry it, it's perfect for use as a body sponge or as cleaning for your clothing, for cleaning in the sink when you have need a scrubber sponge for your dirty dishes. This is going to be exceptional for that. Now, some people have gotten even more creative and used it as a form of insulation in your house, in your clothing, making a bedding out of it because it's going to be kind of rigid once it dries, but it will still be squishy and trap some air in there. So you're going to find that it can be used for so many different things. That's why I'm going to put this on my top list of covert gardening recommendations for you. To get some started, let it take care of itself. If you have a bumper crop one year, just harvest the seeds and plant them again. Harvest all of the loofah sponges that you've got. Even with my little care that I gave this and only 2 plants that covered all of this, I'm gonna guess I'm going to get at least 50 good loofah sponges by the time I'm done harvesting. And I'm gonna have a wonderful ability to sell some of these and to use them in all kinds of ways in the cleaning around my place that I live. And I'm gonna have so many seeds to plant for next year. Isn't that amazing? So I brought some inside and got them all cleaned up so you could see what they look like in the final product. And this is the number of seeds that I harvested from this one medium-sized loofah gourd. Can you believe that? So I have enough for all of next year and to share with friends just from one gourd. Now, there are a myriad of ways that these are used around the world. In fact, in some countries, the seeds are harvested and pressed for the oil that's inside of them to make an actually kind of a feed or a meal that's fed to rabbits and catfish, of all things. I'm not sure where that came from, but look it up on Wikipedia. That was a new one I hadn't learned about until today. You're going to get yourself some of those seeds, though. It should be easy enough. In fact, start back by doing this. Go around your house and collect all of the fake sponges that you've got around that you thought were natural and looked natural, but are made of some sort of synthetic imitation, and they're not good for you or your family. So get rid of those. Then order some seeds either online or have a friend that you might have that's growing loofah, share some of theirs. You're going to order them either from Amazon.com or Baker Heirloom Seed Catalog. That's, I think, where I got mine. And I probably paid just maybe $4 for a small packet of them. It was worth every penny. And I would encourage you, get them wherever you can. Plan to start them early next year in the spring because they need, like I said, that full growing season with lots of sun and as much rain as possible as well. And they'll pretty much take care of themselves. Then let them grow to the very end and harvest them when they're either this yellow or yellower than this. This is just barely ready to pick. Or you can let them get all the way brown like this one. It even sounds ready. All I have to do is take off that crusty shell and this will be a perfect little miniature version of a loofah sponge and very usable. The myriad of ways that you can use these, though, is not limited to just what we know from other folks. I want to hear from you. You guys are awesome at giving me your ideas of how you would use them creatively around your ranch or farmstead or homestead or your high-rise apartment, wherever you find yourself. I want to know what you would use these for. I was thinking myself, one of the creative ways I might use them is because they have such a wonderful texture to them that's usable and very tough, that they might make good shoe soles in the event that I had to have some sort of makeshift shoes. Now, I hope I don't get down to that, but that's just one creative idea for them. You tell me yours down below this episode, and make sure you share this with a friend that you love. I want to encourage you, stay tuned, because in the next few episodes, we're going to have a celebration of reaching that 100,000 subscriber mark, and we're going to try and have a little giveaway. So I hope you tune in for that. And we're so thankful for you guys. You don't even know how grateful we are for your encouragement and your writing in with suggestions that we can learn from you, as well as your prayer support. You guys are just incredible. And thank you to you patrons for making this financially possible for us to even have this channel and these episodes. You guys are incredible. All right, this is your chance. Now I hope you will take the time to go out this week, find somebody that needs you to be a blessing to them, and intentionally bless them. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Hey, before you go, let me share with you this quick word of scripture. This is out of the book of Matthew in the Holy Bible, and it's in chapter 6, verses 19 through 21. It says this: "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures here on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves don't break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Now go spread the word.